Welcome to Kushagra Academy, Unleashing Potential, Class 9, Chapter 1, The Language of Chemistry, Part 1. In this chapter, we will study about the symbol of an element, about the valency, about the formulas of radicals and the compounds, balancing simple chemical equations, relative atomic masses, and the relative molecular masses. So, one by one, I will proceed. First, we will know about the element. So, what is element? As we have already studied in class 6, 7 and 8 that what is element. Actually, it is the simple and the pure form of the matter which cannot be decomposed into simpler substances. And the elements are made up of atoms. You can see in this picture, this is the picture of oxygen atom, the element oxygen, and this oxygen element is made up of small atoms of oxygen. That is, elements are made up of atoms, and smallest particle of an element which represents all the properties of the element. It is called atom. What is molecule? A set of atoms of the same type together form the molecules of the element. For example, we can see here one atom is of oxygen, another is of also of the oxygen. When they combine together, they form the molecule of the oxygen. So when two atoms of same type or two atoms of different type also when combines together, it forms the molecules. So molecules can be of different types. It can be of monoatomic, that means having only one atom in a molecule. It can be of the diatomic, having two atoms in a molecule, for example hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, and we write their formulas as H2, O2, N2. There is also a tetraatomic molecules also, that is we can say the example of phosphorus P4, then octaatomic S8. We can also take the example of ozone, that is O3. So the set of the atoms when combines together, they form the molecules, and molecules is also the smallest particle and that has the capability to exist independently. It exhibits all the properties of that element. That means the basic difference between the molecule and the atom is that atom cannot always exist independently. It may or may not exist independently, but molecules always exist independently. But both molecules and atoms shows all the properties of that element. That means if one atom of oxygen shows any property of the element oxygen, the another atom of the oxygen also shows the same property of that element. Now, when atoms or molecules of different elements combine, they form molecules of a compound. That means our question is, what is compound? So when two or more atoms or molecules combine together in any fixed ratio, here we can see, for example, we can take the example of water, that is H2O. So how many molecules of hydrogen here? Two. And how how many atoms of oxygen here? One. That means when two atoms of hydrogen combines with one atom of oxygen, a compound will form, and the name of the compound will be H2O. That means water. Conclusion is, atom compounds will form when there is the combination of the fixed amount of atoms or molecules, and compound will always have their formulas. We can also take the example of NH3. Here we can able to see this blue ball. This blue ball represents nitrogen and this silver ball represents hydrogen. That means when one atom of nitrogen combines with three atoms of hydrogen, one compound NH3 will form. That means they are combining in the fixed ratio, and when the atoms or the molecules combine in the fixed ratio, they form compound. and they have their formulas and symbols. Now come to the symbols of the elements based on their Latin names. Sodium is represented by Na, potassium is represented by K, antimony Sb. So these are the symbol of few elements given here. So why we use the symbols? The question is why we use the symbols. What is the, or we can say that what is the significance of a symbol? So one by one I will deal the significance of the symbol. Why we use the symbol? Because it represents the name of the element. If we say Na, that means we are talking about sodium. If we say Cu, that means we are talking about copper. If we say Pb, that means we are talking about lead. It represents the, that means it represents the name of the element, along with it represents one atom of the element. For example, if you are telling sodium, that means Na, this Na represents one atom of sodium. Quantity of the element equal in mass to its atomic mass or gram atomic mass. For example, we take the example of potassium. For example, potassium. So the symbol of the potassium is K. We can easily say that the K represents the element potassium, and it also represents one atom of the potassium. It also represents one atom of the potassium, and it also represents its atomic weight, and this weight being the atomic weight of the element, and it also represents the atomic weight, that is the atomic weight is 39.9 something about the potassium. So it also represents the atomic weight. Now we see this video.
Hello friends, I am an atom. Yes, an atom. Can you see me? Oh yes, I know you can see me on your screen, but I am just an imaginary picture of an atom. Real atoms are too tiny. You can only see them under a very special microscope. Actually, this big microscope can be called a machine. Okay, now you know that we're so tiny that we can only be seen with machines. Now I have a question for you. Do you know the meaning of your name? Very good if you know it. If you don't know, ask your parents. But I also know the meaning of my name. It means that which can't be cut, that which is uncuttable. Actually, it's a Greek word, which means it is indivisible, which means it can't be divided further or can't be cut further. Let me show you something. Let me ask this man to cut the apple in his hand in half. Now do it again. Please do it again. Keep doing it until you can't cut it any further. Yes, this is the smallest part which you can't cut any further. But it can also be cut under a microscopic machine. So, if you get a part so small which can't be divided further, it is called indivisible. It can't be cut further. It is uncuttable. It is an atom. Let me tell you a secret. Everything is made up of atoms.
Now, from this video, we can easily understand that what is atom. That means it is indivisible, and every matter is made up of atom. Every matter is made up of atom. Now, the next is about the chemical symbols. So, why we study the chemical symbols? Already I have told you what it represents. It represents the name of the element, one atom of the element, the quantity of element equal in mass to its atomic mass or the gram atomic mass. Now in this chemical symbols, we will study how we will write the symbols and what does it represent. So first we will go through the definition. A symbol is the short form that stands for the atom of a specific element or the abbreviations used for the names of the elements. The name of the element, one atom of the element, and the quantity of the element equal in mass to its atomic mass or gram atomic mass. This N represents the symbol of nitrogen. What nitrogen? That means nitrogen element, and one N represents the one atom of nitrogen. If there will be N2, that means it is representing one molecule of the nitrogen, and one nitrogen atomic number is 7, and this is atomic mass, that is 14.01. So 14 parts by weight of nitrogen, and this being the atomic weight of the element. This 7 represents the atomic number, and this 14.01 represents the atomic mass. Now if I am writing oxygen O, So what is the atomic number of the oxygen? It is 8, and its atomic mass is 16. Its atomic mass is 16. So what does this symbol represents? This symbol represents, this is the symbol of oxygen, which represents the element of oxygen, one atom of oxygen, and 16 parts by weight of oxygen, and 8 represents the atomic number. If I am writing O2, what it represents? Here it is 2 oxygen, 2 atoms of oxygen. The structure is like this. 2 atoms of oxygen combines together. As I have already told you, when 2 atoms combines together, a molecule formed. So this is the molecule of oxygen. How many molecule of oxygen? Here it is written nothing. That means one molecule of oxygen contains 2 atoms of oxygen. One molecule of oxygen contains 2 atoms of oxygen. Now come to the molecular formula. What is molecular formula? Simply, it is also the symbolic representation of a molecules. And why we study about the molecular formula? Molecular, why? Because both the molecules and the molecular mass of the compound, because it represents both the molecules and the molecular mass of the compound. It also represents the number of different atoms present in one molecule of the compound, and it shows the ratio of the respective masses of the elements present in the compound. So one by one we will deal all these 3 points. First we will come to the first point, that is it represents both the molecules and the molecular mass of the compound. So how it represents both the molecules and the molecular mass of the compound? Now here it is given the example of water. So how the water forms? So when we take 2 atoms of hydrogen, here the 2 balls, here the 2 balls, 2 blue balls represents the 2 atoms of the hydrogen, and one red ball represents the 1 atom of the oxygen. So when 2 balls of hydrogen combines with 1 ball of oxygen, it forms 1 molecule of water. Now you can able to see this picture, 1 molecule of water. So what is the ratio here? The ratio are fixed. That means only 2 atoms of hydrogen will combine with only 1 atom of the oxygen, then only 1 molecule of the water will form. With the help of this, the number of atoms, and with the help of their atomic mass, we can easily find out the molecular mass of the compound. Yes? So what is the atomic mass of the hydrogen? It is 1. And what is the atomic mass of the oxygen? It is 16. It is 16. Now we can see that there is a 2 atoms of hydrogen. That means we can multiply it 1 with 2. That is 2. That is 2. So hydrogen atoms, 2 hydrogen atoms, that's why we have multiplied by 2. So 2 plus 16, 16 of the oxygen, it gives 18. 18 is what? 18 AMU. 18 is what? 18 is the molecular mass of water. 18 is the molecular mass of water. So with the help of this molecular formula, we can easily find out their molecular mass of the compound. The next point, molecular formula represents the respective number of different atoms present in one molecule of the compound. So if I will give you just this formula, H2O, you can easily tell me that this H2O, in the formula of H2O, 1 atom of oxygen combines with the 2 atoms of the hydrogen. You can easily tell me. That means you can easily recognize the number of atoms. What are the different types of atoms present here? The different types of atoms are oxygen and hydrogen. So you can easily tell me. Now come to the third point. It represents the ratio of the respective masses of the elements present in the compound. Yes, respective masses. How we can find out the ratio of the respective mass? So what is the mass of the hydrogen? 2. And what is the mass of the oxygen? 16. So easily we can find the ratio, that is 1 by 8. That is 1 by 8. So what is the ratio of the mass of the elements present in the compound? That is 1:8. That is 1:8. So now it become easy for all of us to find out the molecular mass of the compound, respective ratios of the elements present in the compound, and the respective number of the different atoms present in one molecule of the compound from the molecular formula. That's why we study about the molecular formula, or we write the molecular formula. Molecular formula is also known as the chemical formula. Now comes to the valency. Before going ahead, I would like to discuss about the valence electrons. We can easily see here that there are 3 shells, 1, 2 and 3 shells. So the electrons in the outermost shell, and these shells are called the orbits. So the electrons in the outermost shell are called the valence electrons. The electrons in the outermost shell are called the valence electrons. So every atom has the tendency to attain the stability, to attain the octet electronic configuration. So every atom try to gain the electrons to attain the stability, or try to lose the electron to attain the stability. Here we can see sodium atom. What is the atomic number of the sodium? It is 11. It is 11. So what will be the electronic configuration? 281. So to attain the stability, what the sodium will do? Sodium will donate its 1 electron. Sodium will donate its 1 electron and gain the positive charge. Now it becomes sodium ion, Na plus, that you can easily see in this video. Now second one is chlorine. So what is the atomic number of the chlorine? 17. What is the atomic number of the chlorine? 17. And what its electronic configuration? 287. So to gain its stability, what chlorine will do? It will gain 1 electron. It will gain 1 electron and it will become chlorine ion, chloride ion, by gaining 1 electron with -1 charge. So now there is a bond formation between the sodium and the chlorine. Why? Because sodium is donating 1 electron and chlorine is taking 1 electron. This is called the valency. That means valency is the combining capacity of an atom or of an radical. That means how much electron you are donating or how much electron you are taking is the valency of that atom. That means we can we can define this term as the number of electrons that atom can lose, gain or share during a chemical reaction is called its valency. So the valency of the sodium is +1 and the valency of the chlorine is -1. Why? Because chlorine is taking 1 electrons and sodium is losing 1 electron.
Why does bond formation take place? Can you give me the answer? Yes, it takes place because atoms are always in a constant struggle to reach the stable state. And what is this stable state? Well, if the atoms have only one shell, then the stable state is achieved when 2 electrons are present in it. And if the atom has 2 or more than 2 shells, then the stable state is achieved when the outermost shell contains 8 electrons. It's called an octet. But the stable state is seen only in case of a few elements. We know that elements like helium, neon, argon, etc. have atoms with such desired electronic configuration. But what about the case of atoms which do not have this octet? Then how will magnesium complete its octet? This is where the concept of donating electrons comes into the picture. If managing the gain of 6 electrons is difficult, then can it think of giving or donating the 2 electrons? Yes, absolutely. So if magnesium gives away 2 electrons from its outermost shell, then we say that the valency of magnesium is 2. That means it's not only about how many electrons can be taken, but also about how many electrons can be given by the atom. That is how we calculate the valencies of various elements. Now, to understand the concept better, let's take an example of elements forming one compound. Maybe we can think of sodium chloride. For the formation of one molecule, we need one atom of sodium and one atom of chlorine. What are the valencies of each, by the way? Sodium has the electronic configuration 281, while chlorine has an electronic configuration 287. Before I tell you what happens, I want you to give it a shot. What do you think will happen? Doesn't this indicate that sodium will donate one and chlorine will accept one electron to complete their respective octet state? Yes, that's absolutely correct. And that is what helps in the formation of sodium chloride molecule. Chlorine needed one electron which it got from sodium, and sodium gave one electron as it was the easiest way to achieve stability. So the valency of both sodium and chlorine is 1. Does this mean that only elements having the same valency always combine together to form a bond? Not really. Just take the simple example of a water molecule. We have seen that the valency of hydrogen is 1 while that of oxygen is 2. Here, hydrogen needs 1 electron while oxygen needs 2 electrons. Both need electrons. So how do the atoms combine in this case? How will the bond formation take place then? Well, they will both share electrons with each other. But how? It's not that straightforward. For now, we have to know that one atom of oxygen combines with 2.
Now moving to the next topic, that is about the ions. So already I have told you कि when atom lose electrons, they will gain the positive charge, and when atoms will gain electrons, they will get the negative charge. So when the atom gets the positive charge, it is called the cation, and when the atom gets the negative charge, called the anion. Now the valency of an element or of a radical is the number of hydrogen atoms that will combine with or displace one atom of that element or the radical. Now this we will understand with the help of the example. Now one atom of oxygen combines with 2 atoms of hydrogen to form the molecule of the water. So the valency of the oxygen is 2. So if you are taking one atom of hydrogen and one atom of oxygen, so can it be possible to form H2O? No, because in H2O it requires 2 atoms of hydrogen. It requires 2 atoms of hydrogen, and here we can easily see that both the atoms requires the electrons. Both the atom requires the electrons. That means oxygen also requires the electron to complete its octet, and hydrogen also requires its electron to complete its duplet. So what will happen? Here is the oxygen atom, and the electrons and the valence electrons are here 6 valence electrons. Valence electrons means the outermost electrons, the number of electrons in the outermost shell, that is called the valence electrons. So here the number of electron is 6. So to gain its octet it needs 2 more electrons. To gain its octet it needs 2 more electrons, and here one atom of hydrogen, hydrogen is having 1 electron. So to gain its duplet it requires 1 more electron. So what this hydrogen will do? Hydrogen will share its electron from the oxygen atom. Now how can we count these electrons? It can be counted as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Clear? So there are 7 electrons in the oxygen atom, and how many electrons in the hydrogen atom? 1, and this cross 1, 2. तो हाइड्रोजन का डुप्लेट तो पूरा हो गया, बट ऑक्सीजन का ऑक्टेट अभी भी पूरा नहीं हुआ है. So what will oxygen will do? Again it will make the bond with the another hydrogen atom. Now count the number of electrons of oxygen atom. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and this one 8. अब ऑक्सीजन का 8 इलेक्ट्रॉन्स उसके आउटर मोस्ट ऑर्बिट में कंप्लीट हो गया. दैट मीन्स कि वो उसके ऑक्टेट कंप्लीट हो गए और हाइड्रोजन के भी डुप्लेट कंप्लीट हो गए, 1 2 इस हाइड्रोजन के और इस हाइड्रोजन के 1 2। तो स्ट्रक्चर कैसा बना वाटर का, लाइक दिस, like this. Now comes to the variable valency. So valency, we have already discussed that what is valency? That is the combining capacity of an atom or of a radical. That means how much electrons they are losing and how much electrons they are gaining to complete its octet or duplet. That is called the valency. But there are few elements which shows more than one valency, and that term is called the variable valency. Why they shows more than one valency? Because an atom of an element can sometimes lose more electrons than are present in its valence shell, and that is there is a loss of electrons from the previous shell too, and therefore such element is said to exhibit the variable valency. Now if the elements shows two different positive valencies, then suffix would be OUS for the lower valency and IC for the higher valency. For example, copper is showing two types of valency, that is +1 and +2. So what would be the suffix for the +2? Yes, for the highest valency we use IC, the suffix would be IC, that means we use cupric, and for the lower one we use cuprous. In the same manner, in the iron also shows two types of valency, that is +2 and +3. So the higher valency is here +3. So for +3, for that iron compound we will use the ferric, and for +2 we will use the ferrous. That means जिनकी lower valencies रहेंगी उनमें हम OUS suffix use करेंगे, और जिनकी higher valencies रहेंगी उनमें हम IC valency use करेंगे. There are many elements which shows the variable valencies. The list is given here. For example, copper, iron, silver, lead, strontium, then mercury. All the elements are showing the variable valency.